With 5 days to elections in Liberia, good evening. The news is read by Sullivan Watson. First, the headlines. NPP presidential hopeful Charles Ghankay Taylor has been addressing thousands of Bassa citizens in Buchanan Grand Bassa County at a major political rally to outline his programs and plans of action for the new Liberia. The first group of 40 short-term electoral observers have arrived in Liberia to participate in the upcoming general and presidential elections in Liberia. The Carter Center says it will support free and fair elections in Liberia and the ICOM in its quest to ensure democratic elections in Liberia. It has been reported that for the second time in less than a week, the Sierra Leone rebel army has clashed with ECOMO forces in that country. Those were the headlines. Now for the news in detail. NPP presidential nominee Charles Ghankay Taylor has been addressing thousands of citizens and residents of Grand Bassa County on major political rally to outline his program and plan of action for the new Liberia. According to our reporter in Buchanan, thousands of citizens turned out yesterday to receive the NPP standard bearer, following which he attended an intercessory service to mark his safe arrival. Mr. Taylor commented the several development progress which he has undertaken in Grand Bassa County and spoke of plans to improve the socio-economic welfare of the people of Grand Bassa County. The NPP standard bearer has repeatedly said following his election as President of Liberia, he will include his rivals in a government that he will form, and said all Liberians' professional expertise will be needed in the nation building. Mr. Taylor emphatically spoke of a landslide victory in Saturday's election and continues to urge the supporters to remain calm and conduct themselves in an orderly manner in the run-up to elections. The first group of 40 short-term electoral observers have arrived in Liberia to participate in the upcoming national elections on July 19. These United Nations observers will observe polling and counting on Election Day. According to a Udemy release, the group unraveled 2 days of training in Abidjan, Cote d'Ivoire, and the Ivory Coast. They were deployed by road to Sanikwele, Zaza, Banga, Riverses, Tottenberg, and Vonjama. The group will join this week by an additional 160 United Nations short-term electoral observers. The observers will be based in 17 electoral observation bases in all 13 counties, including Monrovia. The Carter Center has reaffirmed its strong support for free elections in Liberia and for the Independent Elections Commission in its efforts to ensure such elections. A release from the Carter Center says it notes with serious concern that the Commission has said the elections will not be postponed, and threat in this direction is inappropriate. The release also quotes the Carter Center as saying that it has observed elections in 12 countries in similar transitional phase, and on the eve of such an important moment, it is natural for the people to be anxious and uncertain. According to the release, President Carter is expected to lead a large and important delegation to Liberia in support of the democratic process in Liberia and has encouraged registered voters to participate in the process. With 5 days to the final electoral judgment in Liberia, the political ratings of the NPP standard bearer Charles Ghankay Taylor continues to rise with the current visit to various political subdivisions of the country. Since the launching of the official campaign season in Liberia, the NPP standard bearer Mr. Taylor has received magnanimous support from thousands of citizens throughout the country, including Liberian refugees in neighboring countries, many of whom have returned home to participate in the political process. Supporters see Mr. Taylor as the only potential presidential candidate capable of winning this Saturday's general and presidential elections. Independent media surveys have rated Mr. Taylor as ranking first amongst other parties. Despite the many accusations leveled against Mr. Taylor by his opponents, the NPP standard-bearer says he remains committed to work cooperatively with all political parties following his victory on Saturday in the interest of national unity. The National Patriotic Youth Council will this Thursday launch a massive campaign throughout Monrovia as part of last-minute preparation to this Saturday elections. Speaking to LCN News recently, the NPYC chairman Edwin Snow said with the level of various campaigns being launched by the NPYC, the NPP is expecting nothing less than a landslide victory in Saturday's elections. He reiterated calls by the NPP standard-bearer, former Councilman Charles Ghankay Taylor, that all NPP supporters should not engage in any act that is incapable with the electoral laws. Mr. Snow said the occasion will commend efforts by the West African Peacekeeping Force (ECOMO) for not only encouraging African solidarity, but a credible gesture to the sub-region. A Liberian economist, Mr. Samuel Gowan, is calling on presidential aspirants of political parties to come together and formulate or come up returning generals and presidential in the presidential area in Liberia. Mr. Gowan says such meeting among the 13 political parties would afford the leaders the opportunities to settle their individual differences and find common solutions in restoring lasting peace and stability to Liberia. Speaking to LCN News, Mr. Gowan noted that such meeting will also enable presidential aspirants to come together and decide the fate of this country and its people after several years of civil conflict. The American embassy in Monrovia has announced that with the arrival of the official ballots recently for the holding of the July 19 general and presidential elections in Liberia, the United States government has exceeded its targeted level of assistance to the electoral process. A release from the embassy said the value of goods and services provided by the United States for the elections as of July 9, 1997 stood at $9.2 million United States dollars, or about $315,000 United States dollars more than offered, and does not include a contribution to the United Nations programs in support of the Liberian elections. The release said the United States support for the election takes the form of direct assistance to the electoral process managed by ICOM and indirect support to key elements of the election process itself. It has been reported in Monrovia that United Party standard-bearer Ellen Johnson Sirleaf has still not resigned her portfolio at the United Nations. Sources close to the UN headquarters in New York have revealed that Mrs. Sirleaf instead requested and received a 6-month leave of absence in order to allow her to return to UN assignment in the event that she loses the elections. Mrs. Sirleaf, who abandoned the Liberia Action Party and subsequently negotiated and purchased the standard-bearership of the Unity Party, has begun to experience serious slap in the face, as many key supporters of the party are resigning from the party. The NPP Monrovia County Senatorial aspirant Mrs. Grace Manor will tomorrow lead thousands of NPP partisans from constituency number 6 at a mass campaign rally at the Centennial Memorial Pavilion in Monrovia. According to reports, the rally is intended to reduce voters from the constituency to educate voters from the constituencies on the elections rules and further create high spirit for the Saturday's election in Monrovia. According to the report, the partisans will use the occasion to pledge their support to the first partisan of the NPP senatorial aspirant, Mr. Charles Ghankay Taylor and Mrs. Grace Manor. A resident of 12th Street, Sincar, Mr. John Somerville, was reportedly struck today by supporters of United Party for displacing posters of standard bearer of the NPP Charles Ghankay Taylor. Speaking to SCN News, Mr. Somerville said the event started when ECOMO soldiers assigned with Mr. Salif allegedly attacked him and accused him of campaigning for Mr. Taylor. Mr. Somerville, who sustained injury, said during the attack his left was threatened and warned not to display the poster of Mr. Taylor. The report comes following a violent scene last Saturday in Pinsville when supporters of Ms. Salif brutalized NPP supporters and sympathizers in Pinsville, Rhyolite, ELWA Junction, and Joba. Maryland County Representative to the TLA Clark Wilson has called on citizens of the county not to allow their political franchise to influence by any individual who want to use more political sentiment to win their votes. In a release issued recently, Assemblyman Wilson said citizens of Maryland County should reflect solely on the process of electing a leader that will bring massive development to Liberia. The LPNC and NPA branches of the National Patriotic Party have pledged its loyalty and support to NPP standard bearer former Councilman Charles Ghankay Taylor in the ensuing general and presidential elections. According to co-chairman Mr. Patrick McLean, the branch is exerting every effort to ensure victory for the party this Saturday. This bulletin of news comes to you from KISS FM, the FM service of the Liberia Communications Network. We broadcast from our central studios in Monrovia, Liberia. It has been reported that for the second time in less than a week, the Sierra Leonean rebel army has clashed with ECOMO forces in the country. According to VOA, the peacekeepers and the rebel army fought on Saturday and Sunday at the peacekeepers' headquarters 30 kilometers east of the capital, Freetown. The two sides clashed at Sierra Leone's Indy Airport. This latest round of fighting began when ECOMO troops resisted the coup makers, who were said to be looking for a clandestine radio station that was broadcasting speeches of austere President Ahmad Tijan Kaba. President Hosni Mubarak of Egypt has called for positive dialogue between Islam and the Western world. Whirring delegates to a conference on Islam and the West, President Mubarak said the religion is being misunderstood in the Western world and has taken the place of the God war as a major danger. Egyptian religious endowment minister said the sin of the conference is to prove wrong that a clash is inevitable between the both cultures. Now to end the news. Here once again are the main points. NPP standard bearer Charles Ghankay Taylor has been addressing thousands of Bassa citizens in Grand Bassa County at a major political rally to outline his programs and plans of action for the new Liberia. The first group of 40 short-term electoral observers have arrived in Liberia to participate in the upcoming general and presidential elections in Liberia. The Carter Center says it supports free and fair elections in Liberia and the ICOM in its quest to ensure democratic elections in Liberia. It has been reported that for the second time in less than a week, the Sierra Leonean rebel army has clashed with ECOMO forces in that country. And that is the end of the news from KISS FM Radio. I'm Saraban Wassim reporting, but don't go away as Patrick Toumi stands by for the news in French.
Merci. Amis auditeurs et auditrices, bonsoir. Le leader du NPP, Parti national patriotique, son excellent Charles Ghankay Taylor, est depuis hier à Buchanan dans la province de Grand Bassa dans le cadre de sa campagne électorale. M. Taylor a tenu aujourd'hui une conférence d'explication à plusieurs milliers de supporters et partisans du NPP de Buchanan pour leur définir une fois de plus les 5 piliers du gouvernement qui sera dirigé par le NPP. Au cours de cette conférence, son excellent Charles Taylor a une fois de plus fait preuve de maturité politique et de clairvoyance inégalée. Il a affirmé qu'il ne sera pas le président élu pour un seul groupe, qu'il associera à son gouvernement tout un chacun afin que dans l'unité et la fraternité recouvertes, le Libéria bénéficie de l'apport de tous ses veillants fils. C'est ainsi qu'il a fait part de la cohabitation idéologique, d'une reconstruction planifiée et de l'intensification de la lutte contre l'analphabétisme et le sous-développement. À noter également qu'avant le samedi prochain, ce même genre de rencontre sera organisé ici même à Monrovia par le NPP, rencontre au cours de laquelle Charles Ghankay Taylor délivrera à la nation les mêmes principes d'action qui dirigeront au lendemain du 19 juillet la révolution tayloriste. Libériens et Libériennes, le jour tant attendu est à moins d'une semaine de nous, un moment historique parce que décisif. Ce jour décisif nous appelle aux urnes pour choisir le guide de notre destinée. Il faut choisir pour nous-mêmes et pour notre postérité, donc faire le bon choix. Ce choix sublime doit être porté sur un homme animé d'un esprit de tolérance, de persévérance, de savoir-faire ayant fait ses preuves de patriotisme et ayant un programme concis pour la réhabilitation du Libéria. Il faut donc choisir l'homme le plus représentatif de notre pays afin qu'il aille prouver dans les joutes internationales la clairvoyance qui a toujours caractérisé notre chère patrie. Ce faisant, nous pensons que ce choix est facile car par son programme d'action et d'idéologie qu'il prône, Charles Ghankay Taylor s'est illustré pour ce poste. Alors frères et sœurs du Libéria, pour le 19 juillet 1997, nous savons que tous nous serons aux urnes pour voter du moins Charles Ghankay Taylor. Et voilà, c'était là l'essentiel en français. Je suis Jérôme Debayer. Au revoir.